What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 140 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zerleet and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please be sure to join the Discord channel. I have a link in the description below. Right now I'm doing a poll on my next ship build, so if you want to get involved with that, be sure to join the Discord and click on next ship build poll, and you'll be able to vote based off of a list I've accumulated for my top requests on YouTube. Today we've got about a 21-minute episode. We're going to be picking up where we left off, working on the cargo room, but then we're also going to change gears into working on the shuttle bay control room for the secondary and tertiary shuttle bays. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it today. Not a super long episode, but not a short one either, about 21 minutes. But we've got some time to get some things taken care of. So this little middle area that we have right here that takes up the space in between the two cargo rooms, I kind of decided that this was going to be like a designated like cargo storage, or that's what was going for. That this would kind of be a place where you take all the cargo to store it, instead of just closing it off. Of course, we want to double check and make sure that our placement is right on these cylinders that we're putting down. Even though they're not cylinders, they're just a too tall block, but I'm calling them cargo cylinders because that's what they were in the show. And that really doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good. And so we're just using the space that we have available at this point. This wasn't something that was ever seen in the show. I'm just using the space I have available and fleshing out an idea that I had in my head. Again, these are things that you can get away with on your own builds. Think about like if you're in the same situation where you have some of the space available. Okay, what can I add in this space, or do I just want to close it off? And I just got to thinking like, okay, well, once you've got all the cargo in the cargo room itself, maybe some of that you might want to just store it and have it out of the way. So it kind of made the most sense to me that this would maybe be like a cargo room where you'd have just the extra, where if they have like a surplus of certain things, they can put it in this room where it would be out of the way. I think the one and only thing that goes against this room is that I don't know if it necessarily reflects the size of being a cargo room for a Galaxy class. I think the cargo room would need to be a lot bigger than what it currently is, but I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm just going off of the room size that I saw on the show, and that was maybe a slight against the show, but they didn't have the biggest budget to work with. So that's why we never saw these really big rooms, and why, quite frankly, they were very small, because they didn't have the money for it. So I'm not going to try to make it grandiose for this area. I'm just going to go off of the size scale that I think it needs to be, and then just call it a day. All right, so we've added in some more sea lanterns, covering that up with the yellow carpeting. Always a great thing to do, just to get that extra little bit of lighting in place. It's a little trick that I like to do, just to help me out with the lighting, carpeting, and half slabs to cover up those sea lanterns. Because if it were up to me, you wouldn't see any of these sea lanterns at all. Mojang would just add a full spectrum of illuminated blocks, and if they really wanted to make my day, a full range of colored half slabs. It's killing me that they haven't added that in just yet. So this is one thing that we're going to do. I talked about this in, I think, the first episode when we started working on the cargo room, that the back wall facing the front of the neck, I should have brought it back by 1 block. And that's what we're going to do today. So this way the doorway doesn't come right up on the lip. As those of you that have been with me during this whole tutorial, and then also my other ones, You guys know by now that if something's bothering me, it's gonna stay with me until I change it. That's just the type of person that I am, and this would just, it was bugging me, and I don't know why, but I don't like having the doorway right up on the wall here. It should be back by one block, so it's not so compact. I personally think it looks better. You don't necessarily have to do this if you don't want to. If if you're looking at it and you're like, I think it looks fine, leave it. Don't change it. This is just something that I've decided that I wanted to do. Because, at the end of the day, and I've said this a million times, there's 1,001 ways to build these ships. I'm just trying to show you guys some different things that you could do to help inspire you. Or if you want to, you can copy what I have exactly. But there's no right and wrong way of building these things out. I always want to point that out, because sometimes when I talk about the choices that I'm making and some things, it could maybe come off like I'm saying that this is the best way and only way to do it, when that couldn't be further far from the truth. I'm just strictly speaking from my own experiences, building on here and what I think works. I always try to be open in that regard, and this is another reason why, I always welcome constructive criticism when somebody tells me, hey, you could have done this better, or maybe use a different color. I'm not going to lie, 9 times out of 10, I'll probably at least go in and try it to see how it looks. Um, because, you know, um, sometimes people in the community, they give great ideas, and I may not always think of something right off the first go. Um, there have been quite a few things during the course of this tutorial series that people have suggested that I add in. Um, and I wasn't going to do it unless somebody suggested it. So, definitely, keep those comments coming as far as what you want to see me add on these ships. Maybe not so much on the Enterprise D right now, because I think it's safe to say at this point that I'm not taking any more suggestions on new rooms to add. But if you think I could have done something better, hey, let me know in the comments section. Definitely always appreciate hearing from everybody in the community with stuff like that. But yeah, I think this looks so much better with that wall back by one. It's not so cramped up now, and it looks way cleaner than how it looked before. And this is such a minor change. It's only taken us a couple of minutes to correct that issue. Again, for those of you that, you want to get in that extra bit of detail, maybe like add in like a rest area or a place to go to the restroom or something like that. You've got all this space here behind this wall, and then also the wall to your right, and then the same thing on the other cargo room. You've got the back wall and then the left wall, with extra space there in case you do need it. This is like the sweet spot where I want to be when I'm building my ships. I like to be in a place where I can control the scale of the room, and having leftovers just in case there's extra things that I want to do. In my experience, this has given me the best result in building these ships. Not to say that, I'm still not able to do some pretty cool stuff when I don't, but I'm just being honest that I'm creatively, I'm able to do more when I have that extra freedom. But then in the same sense, sometimes you can fall on some really cool things even when you don't have the room to work with. The Disco era Enterprise was a great example of that, where, for the scale of the ship, I was able to get a lot of detail into that ship in relatively small areas. Now that's going to be interesting, because when I come in now to do season 2 of that, if I do it, um, that's going to be a challenge in itself, because the interior, that they upscaled the size of the Enterprise. They made it bigger than it actually was originally on the TOS series, and that's going to be something that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But we'll cross that bridge once we get there. We're going to be shifting gears now. You can see that we're going to be taking a slight break now from working on the cargo room, and now, as promised, we're going to be making our way into the secondary and tertiary shuttle bay control rooms, and finally fleshing out this area that's just kind of been sitting here, for majority of this tutorial. But this is all by design. I'm a firm believer that if you're not sure of what you want to do, sometimes the best thing that you can do is walk away from it for a while and just let it marinate and come back to it with a fresh set of eyes, no matter how long that takes. Maybe, just like in my scenario here, that it's not necessarily that I didn't want to work on it. It's just that um, I was more leading up to this point, I was more inspired on other areas of the ship. I have more of an idea on what I wanted to do with these other areas. And it wasn't until I got to the tail end of working on the cargo room that I started thinking like, okay, like there's a couple of things that I can do here to maybe make this room look pretty good. And I just decided not to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to go based off the floor plan that we already have established. I'm going to throw up some computer consoles and desks, well, not necessarily desks, but workstations, and just kind of call it a day. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel or doing anything super, super drastic. I'm working with what I have. Um, this is something that can be very, very helpful for you. Those of you that are um, trying to figure out something that you can do to crack where you're stuck at. This is something that I do all the time, where if I'm not sure on what I want to do, I try to use my environment as a way to kind of inspire me on what direction I want to go in. And this is a perfect, perfect example of that, where I looked at my floor, the way I had that lined up. I'm like, okay, I've already got the rooms in place. Now it's just a matter of filling in the walls and then adding in the detailing. So that this way, once this thing is done, it'll look like I intended it to look like this from the get-go, even though I really wasn't quite sure on how it was going to go. You can see this gap right back here. Originally, I had, and I want to pause this for a second and talk about it, this open space here to the right. I had it originally I intended to have my turbo lift come up to this deck. Because this turbo lift that's directly underneath is the turbo lift that goes all the way down in the lower hull. But the problem that I had is that when I tried to add the turbo lift up on this deck, it started coming out. It would have basically come out of the backbone of the ship, and I would have had to have redesigned the whole backbone. And I even actually tried to do that, and it wasn't coming out in a way that looked good and looked natural. It started to kind of change the dimensions of the ship, and I just decided, I'm like, you know what, this isn't necessarily a situation I want to be in, but I'm just going to bite the bullet and add in a couple of extra turbo lifts and just call it a day. Because this is the problem that you deal with when you're working with some ships like this in Star Trek. At the end of the day, these are completely made up ships, and it works within science fiction when you can just say, hey, well, our turbo lifts, they go up, down, left, right, horizontal, you name it, they can do it. Like, well, that's great and all, but when you try to actually build that out, especially on a block-based game, it can become very difficult to make that work. Because you can't go up in all those angles, you know what I mean? So that's just one of the challenges that we had to face. Even though we didn't really have too much of it on the Enterprise, I'd say that was really something that hindered us on the Cerritos. But the command block, using that as a way to get from the upper section of the ship to the lower section was basically a great compromise. But in this case, with the Enterprise D, at least we were able to get to every single part of the ship, but we just maybe had to add in one or two more turbo lifts to make it happen. All right, we're looking pretty good here. We've got our walls up. Now we're going to start adding in some of this detailing here. And I'm trying to keep it simple here, I've kind of got like a loose template of what I've done in the past with my shuttle bay control rooms. And I just decided to basically do the same thing here, Again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is one of the reasons why when I've been working on these ships, as my tutorials have gone on, this is one of the reasons why I've been trying to do different things, because one of the things that you will notice starship to starship is that they won't be exactly the same, but they'll carry over similar traits. Um, so in this specific case, I was able to kind of do something very similar to what I had done with some of my other shuttle bait. Well, maybe not some of the other ones, but at least with the Cerritos. The control room is similar in that regard. Um, but this is also why I've tried to veer away from that and do new things too, and really try to push the boundaries and add in elements based off of that ship's identity, like with the Enterprise D, for example, that it's a family ship, basically, where you've got 1,000 families living on board the ship. So you want to add things that are going to complement that, like having a mall and recreational areas. Um, I didn't get a chance to do it for the tutorial, but you can do other things like adding playgrounds and things like that for the kids to take advantage of. This would be on the Enterprise D. All this stuff makes sense. And when you start to think like that, ship to ship, it starts to get easier to identify, okay, this is what I need to add to make it work. Because every ship has a different purpose. You know what I mean? They're not all going to be exactly the same. And I also, am not going to lie, I try to do this as a way to keep things fresh with my channel and not just do the same thing over and over and over again. I always try to have a different spin on things. This way, as we continue our journey with doing tutorials, it's always somewhat fresh and awesome. And it's kind of crazy too because, my YouTube channel, it's not even something I necessarily intended it just to be Minecraft, or not Minecraft, but yeah, Minecraft and Star Trek. This has just been my top viewed stuff on the channel so far, but there's going to be different things on my channel going in the future too. Not that Minecraft and my Star Trek builds are going anywhere. If anything, I'll be doing more of them, but there's going to be some other things that I want to do also. You know, like last week, I talked about this in the last episodes too, that, there was a reason why I didn't have that many episodes out last week is because I've been playing Prehistoric Kingdom, and I'm trying to get the hang of that a little bit because I'm really, really thinking about maybe doing some videos on that. Because I'm not going to lie, at one point, I wanted to do some tutorial series on Planet Coaster. But by the time I decided to do that, we're at the tail end of Planet Coaster's lifespan. They're not putting out any new DLCs for it. I know that there's a lot of people that still play it, but I think that if I were going to jump on that train, it would be a lot harder for me to put out content for it. That's why I've only done a couple of videos here and there for it. And it was just really like a showcase video and not a tutorial or anything like that. But Prehistoric Kingdom might be a thing where I actually end up doing that. Starship Evo also, that game's not going anywhere. And then, of course, when Arc 2 comes out, that's going to be another game that you guys can expect me that I'll be doing videos on that builds and um, tutorial guides, maybe different types of guides for Arc. That was another game. Arc was going to be something that was going to be one of the foundations of my channel, but again, by the time I really decided to do it, there's a lot of established people already with Arc, and Arc is kind of, I actually I have my own server for Arc, and I'm not even playing it anymore. I mean, the server's still up and going, but I haven't played Arc myself, and um, I mean, I've hopped on there once or twice, like to help out with something, but actually playing it, I haven't played Ark in almost 2 years at this point. Like I'm over it. I played the crap out of that game for 5 years, and I'm ready for the next one to come out, and we'll see what happens. But the point is, like some of these other games I'm bringing up, is that there's going to be other stuff that I'm going to be doing in the future, not just Minecraft. But I think one of the main takeaways is that anything that I do on my channel, you're never going to see me put up a video of like a shooter or something like that. Anything I do, it's going to be build related, because these are the things I actually enjoy the most when I'm playing games. And I wish that we'd see more building games, because I don't think every single game that comes out needs to be a shoot 'em up. It would be nice to see more games that, push people to flex their creative juices, sort of say. And I'd like to see more of it. But I truly, truly enjoy the building aspect on games. Now, this is something that I've had ever since I was a little kid. The first games I ever played doing stuff like that was um, The Sims and then Roller Coaster Tycoon. Or not The Sims, no, Sim City and Roller Coaster Tycoon. And then The Sims. And then after that, I started eventually playing Minecraft when that came out because, yeah, after the first it was Sim City, then Roller Coaster Tycoon. Played The Sims for a little bit, not actually very long. I never got past Sims 2. Um, and then off and on, I played Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then I was kind of like, there wasn't really any building games coming out until because I didn't mess with the Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I had it, but I wasn't impressed with it, so I really didn't play it. And then I really didn't get into another building game until Ark came out and Planet Coaster. That kind of well, no, Minecraft, Ark, and then Planet Coaster. There we go. Yeah, because I started playing Minecraft, I want to say in 2010 or 2011, and that's what got me back into building again, and my love for it. And I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favorite things to do when I get on. It's the thing that I spend the most time doing when I get on either my Xbox or my computer, is I do some form of building. I truly enjoy it. It takes my mind off things. It doesn't stress me out like I would like if I were playing a shooter or a competitive game. And some people enjoy that stuff, but me, excuse me, when I get off work, I just want to hang out and relax. I don't want to get cursed out by a little kid or somebody that is 45 years old and acting like a little kid. I don't want to deal with all that. Um, I think as people mature, they identify things that they like a little bit more, and they stop wasting their time on things that stress them out. Because I used to actually play a lot of shooters back in the day, and I actually still do every once in a while. There's still a couple of games that I play, like with uh, my nephews. We'll play Fortnite, and I still have Doom and Battlefront 2 installed on my Xbox and Red Dead Redemption, but I don't really play them all that much. Really, it's the building games that I get on that I'm on the most frequently because I love it. This is why I'm on Minecraft so much, because it helps to take my mind off things. It's so relaxing. Even just doing these tutorials is super relaxing. I've been enjoying it. So thank you all for going on this journey with me just on the channel in general. And there's going to be a lot more to come. There's still a lot more to come with the Enterprise D. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. If you have any questions regarding today's episode, or just dropping by to say hey, be sure to drop a comment below. I definitely love hearing from everybody. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. And I hope everybody has a happy and safe weekend. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.